try to talk some sense into Gaston Brown's head. Because up to today, we have over 1,200 acres of land tied up. Good sugar land, all the lands we pass around and we say, oh, the land on the bush, the land don't belong to us. Until the debt is paid or the land is bought back, the lands do not belong to us. And that is what Antiguans will see. All right then.
All right. Thanks, Miss Henry. Um, she was saying that Gaston needs to be careful with regards to how he takes the operations of Liat. But right now we'll go and we'll hear from Ralph Gonzalez. He was speaking this morning with Power FM in Trinidad and in Grenada, rather, and he was discussing Liat and how the operations going forward, and he was being very candid in his response to the question of Liat and the way forward.
The four major shareholders, unanimously agreeing with the board's recommendation to liquidate the airline. What is your candid view when it comes to that, when it comes to the future of
You mean the one when my partner Gaston, the one where my partner Gaston misunderstood everything what I was saying and said that he wouldn't say, because I'm an elder statesman, he wouldn't say that I'm a notorious is the word he used, notorious liar.
Yeah.
But he said it nevertheless. No, the point is this, that everybody agreed that we should liquidate. But Gaston also said that he would like to have Liat 1974 replaced by Liat 2020. But that issue, he said it, and I said he said that, but that issue was not on the agenda. Let me explain to you what was on the agenda. And you have a couple of minutes, let me just back up a little.
Go ahead.
Back up a little. On the 23rd of July, the board of directors of Liat, chaired by former Prime Minister Owen Atta, the board sent me a resolution signed by him and the company secretary, Diane Sherland. The resolution said this, that they had received an analysis of Liat's finances, and they came to the conclusion that Liat was unable to pay its debts. And as a result, they are recommended to the shareholders that Liat be wound up. I get that as chairman of the shareholders. What do? My legal responsibility. I call a meeting of the major shareholders, the four governments, which control 92% of the shares in Liat. Mia Motley of Barbados says, listen, and she has almost 50% of the shares, Barbados. She says, I have no more money to put into Liat. I have a tough IMF program. That's the end of the road for me. Gaston didn't step up to the plate with any money. Roosevelt scared from Dominica didn't. I didn't. So I say, well, that's the end of it. It's either we're going to have an orderly liquidation or a disorderly one. And we all agreed to have a liquidation. Gaston also said that he wants it to be replaced by Liat 2020. The legal advice which came to us from the board secretary, who is a lawyer, Diane Sherland, is that at the same meeting where you're agreeing to the dissolution of LIAT, that you're going to agree to setting up a LIAT 2020, it would be so transparent with the same shareholders. Wouldn't that be an attempt to see if you can, in some way, disadvantage those whom LIAT 1974 Limited owes? And all kind of legal consequences flow from that. That's why that issue about LIAT 2020 was not discussed there. Of course, subsequently, Gaston went to Parliament and amended the Companies Act for rather than having liquidation, to have an administration, like Chapter 11 bankruptcy, something similar, and where the Minister of Finance in Antigua can give the direction for the company when took place subsequently. So when I said no, that he didn't agree to liquidate. He did agree to liquidate, and he also agreed, he also advanced that he wanted to have a LIAT 2020. But we couldn't discuss LIAT 2020 to replace at that stage. Now, we had a meeting last night, yesterday evening, where Gaston presented his proposal. And nobody, as I told Gaston, I certainly don't want to stand in his way. Barbados says they don't want to stand in his way. In fact, I had told Gaston, when he called me after that statement had been made. In fact, between me and you, let me tell you this, and those who are listening. I said, Gaston, you went overboard there. I said, you know the test for it? Ask your wife. Did I not go overboard with my friend Ralph? In saying what I had said? He started to laugh. Because I know his wife, she's a good woman. She'll say, yes, Gaston, you overstep your bounds there a little. More than a little. But like water under the bridge. The Saturday after Gaston and I spoke the Friday night, 2 weeks ago, he went to Parliament and he said he had a conversation with me. It was a good conversation and many things were clarified. And I got different reports. Some people say he liked me, others say he loved me. But anyway, he said that I the man, I the Prime Minister, he admired most in the region, and that nobody must come between us, and we'll be friends till the end. You know what I mean? But the point is this, I wouldn't tell you what I told him, because all I could tell you in a private conversation, believe me, I could give you as much as you can give me. I'm a son of this Caribbean civilization. And when you're friends and you disagree on something, and we talk privately, the words which you may use is robust. That would be euphemism. That sometimes the language could be robust, sometimes. And you can just imagine what language that is.
So when it comes to the future, though, of inter-island travel, which is so crucial for, regional integration, what is your view on that? And what are your thoughts on the way forward?
Well, there are five options. Well, I have spoken and said, look, we have 4 airlines in the region, and I've written a letter to my colleagues in the region. There are 4 airlines. There's CAL. Caribbean Airlines has 12 jets, and they have 7 ATR 72s and 2 more at hand that they can leave. They said to me that they could cover 80% of LIAT's pre-COVID 2019 network. Let us even say that they can't cover in addition to the Tobago Air Bridge, that they can't cover 80%. Let us say they could cover 65, 70%. That's still a substantial coverage. Then we have Inter-Caribbean, an airline in Turks and Caicos. They operate in the north, the west of the Caribbean. Northern Caribbean, Western Caribbean. They have about 15 aircraft, I've been advised, from turboprop to 50-seater jets. They have come down as far south as St. Lucia. I know they have made applications to go to the various countries in the Eastern Caribbean, including St. Vincent, including Grenada. And approvals are on its way through the normal processes. And then there are 2 airlines owned by Vincentians. One Caribbean, which was heroic during COVID. They have a 19-seater and they have 2 30-seater Saab. And I've seen the letter from the lessors where they can get a 3rd Saab. Those are 30-seaters. Then SVG Air, which has 6 Twin Otters, 19-seaters. They do fantastic work. They're workhorses. They work on smaller routes in the Northern Caribbean and down here between St. Vincent and the Grenadines going down to Grenada. They go Barbados, St. Lucia. So those are 4 which are actually up and running. Well, certainly SVG Air has started doing work, and for a week now, the One Caribbean has been going St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Barbados. They're waiting approvals to do the other routes. They've done to, right now, I've been told 20-something, after I spoke to Keith this morning, Prime Minister of Grenada, 20-something, I learned that there are 20-something Grenadian students in Barbados who want to go to Grenada, and One Caribbean has to take them. I think they're just waiting on the approvals. So, and then of course, there is LIAT 1974 Limited in Administration, which Gaston wants to bring us the new LIAT. That would also be on the road. But what Barbados and St. Vincent and the Grenadines say to Gaston yesterday is that we will sell you our shares for $1, but we want to sell the planes, either to you or to anybody else. The 3 planes which CDB has a charge on, and that you can lease them back if you want, or you can buy them right now with a price with the CDB. We might get about $10 million for each of the planes. Maybe a less, maybe more. I don't know what the market is. We gotta get that valued. But on the books last year, they were valued at 10 million US, I've been advised. So it's 30 million, assuming it's 10 million. St. Vincent and the Grenadines has 11.5% of the debt. So you give me, out of that, that's $3-point-something million. Barbados has 50-point-something% of the debt. They will get 15 million something. Antigua has 33% of the debt. They will get 1/3. They will get $10 million from that. Dominica is 3.7% of the debt. For the planes I'm talking about, because there are other debts which dealt with other things, because only the planes are the assets. The other money, you just have to continue to service that. So if we are sending a letter to CDB today, the Attorney General of Barbados, I've asked him to draft the letter and send it. For all I know, while I'm talking to you, the letter may be outside at the office with my executive secretary. And we go ahead, and I this new LIAT, whatever it is, Gaston put forward his proposal. I don't want to stand in his way. I don't want to be inside of his hair. Nothing of the sort. And I wish him all the best with it.
Well, there you had it. That was Ralph Gonsalves, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, St. Vincent and the Grenadines Prime Minister, giving an overview of what transpired last evening. We go to the phone lines and hear from this caller. Caller, good afternoon. Can you keep it short?
Yes. Good afternoon. Initially, I was very euphoric that Liat has been saved. Unlike a lot of other people, I don't believe the brand may have been tarnished a bit, but it's still a good brand. But now, I think my euphoria has died because this don't seem so amicable a breakup as I thought before. Right? What this sounds like is that it's going to be a cutthroat competition in the region. Okay, and I'm not so sure that is good. But I'm still glad that Riyadh was at least it has a slight, if not great chance of surviving. It's now wholly owned, it seems, by Antigua, and it's pretty much left to be seen if they can make a really good go at it. Remember that Riyadh started out very small, so if they downsize, it's quite possible that they can be as profitable as any other airline in the region. It just depends on what is done there. So I'm glad that it at least did not die a really terrible death, right? And that there's still some hope for it. Okay, and we'll see what happens. I for one, you know, when you listen to these leaders speak, you realize the kind of machinations and difficulties and so on that they have, right? Initially, you know, you wonder what Gaston Brown might have been thinking when he said that about Gonzales. And you see, he brought it up again. So obviously that had an impact on it. And our leaders must be careful in what they say to each other and about each other, because it will come back to haunt them. But let's all cheer for Liat. Let's hope it survives in the new competition that there seems to be on the horizon. And let's hope for the best. Okay.
All right, thanks, caller. Well, we'll hear from our partner, SL Horsfords and Company, one last time before we bring the curtains down, before we put a wrap on the program here on Win FM.
Found the sound 98.9 Win FM. It's the houseware sale of the year at Horseman's. Happening now at Horseman's Building and Diva Centers. It's the biggest houseware sale of the year. Yes, come to Horseman's Building and Diva Centers and get 25% off all houseware items, 25% off on blenders, pots and pans, small appliances, openers, bread makers, deep fryers, electric heaters, irons, airbeds, shower caddy, bowls, frying pans, bathroom wares such as trash cans, toilet paper holders, toilet bowl brush, plus brooms, mops, sponges, and much, much more. It's the houseware sale of the year at Horseman's Building and Diva Centers. 25% off on all housewares happening now. Sale ends August 31st. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
Welcome back to Voices. We go straight to the phone lines. Okay, we lost that caller. Yes, as we are about to bring the curtains down on the program, we've heard from both Gaston and Dr. Ralph Gonzalez with regards to the next steps for Liat. We'll take this last caller. Caller, good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, sir. I want to congratulate and thank Mr. Derek Griffiths for coming on and speaking exactly what he thinks about the Liat fiasco. Because if you understood him and said he did a lot of cleaning out they'll have to do to get back this Liat. And I do not see why is it from in the era of the Birds, the Spencers, and the Browns, what happened here? Why is it that the Liat have to find themselves into that deficit? Is every other year that need help from other government in the OCS, and they do not want to let go the Liat. But now that you have someone who used to work in the Liat and come on and explain to people in the Federation about the Liat fiasco, we should all applaud Mr. Derek Griffiths for coming and say what he thinks about the Liat, because the Liat to me is a dead by dead gone story. Let the other OECS countries them take up that stock and let it go. Because the late, as far as I concerned, the name late means leave airline at any time. And you cannot have people at airport waiting for 2 hours when they're supposed to be having a connecting flight and they miss the flight and they have to put them up in hotels and all of this here. You have to do exactly what you say you're going to do. Let it go and move on and let everything come to reality and say, well, bygone, and let the other OECS countries then take it. I'm happy for Mr. David Wiffres from this Federation of Sinkers to come and say exactly what they have to do. There's a lot of clean house they have to do. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, caller. Well, we're about to bring the curtains down on today's edition of Voices. Just before I go, though, I think it's a good initiative, idea in terms of what has been put forward in terms of saving Liat. Liat is a cherished brand, regardless of what we'll say, because I've had numerous issues with Liat, lost baggage come a day or two late, significant delays. You know, we've all had some level of experience with Liat, but what can we say recognizes that we can recognize as being a Caribbean brand within the region? I mean, Liat is one of those institutions that we could say it's regional, but outside of that, I always say the consistency in terms of the safety records and so forth from Liat is one of the biggest things for me. But nevertheless, Gaston is looking to save that Liat, that particular institution, and for him it's a significant economic boost to actually save the airline, because it's going to have a significant repercussion if he is to lose that particular institution. The bottom line is